श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ नमो भगवते रमणाय। जगत ईषधीयुक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृद्देवपूजनम्। So three things should be done: pujanam, japaha, chintanam. So pujanam, the physical activity; japaha, the verbal; and the chintanam, the mental. So here first we discuss pujanam, and other two things will follow later. The word pujanam, it brings the ritual worship to the mind, and once the ritual worship comes to the mind, along with it the entire concept of religion also comes to the mind. Therefore the religion itself as a topic has to be examined, and this verse provides an opportunity for that. So you have to be open-minded about it. Okay? So if I have to run and you tie my legs and feet and then I have to run, that doesn't suit well. Okay? So I would like to examine what is religion in this context. Because here the Acharya, he says, this I have read already and one more time I am reading, na anyat avahanadi. So here the pujanam, the Maharshi has a very specific definition of the pujanam, and it is not the pujanam which is followed by the society in general. Anyat na. Anyat, the other kind of ritual worship, it is not. The ritual worship consists of avahanadi visarjanantam shodashopachara vidhana purvakam pujanam na sambhavati. It is not the topic here. That means the religion that we are talking here, by the word pujanam, the religion that we are talking about is not the populist or popular religion. Or in other words, it is not the same as the religion followed by the masses. Naturally, yesterday there was Holi, and in some place they were walking on the burning coals. Now you want to do that? They are doing it in the name of religion. And some of the crudest and weirdest things they do in the name of religion. Are you okay with all that? I am sure you are not okay with all that. So, though they are following it, now why they are following, etc., is not the point. The point is what is that we have to do. Where we stand, where do we stand? Therefore, we are not party to all that. We cannot take that as religion. Similarly, sometimes it may not be as crude as some of these practices are. It is very sophisticated, yet very weird and questionable. Even such practices, so which are part and parcel of the priestcraft, very sophisticated. We want to follow again? I don't think so. We want to examine. We want to examine everything. In fact, we don't want conclusions in a hurry. Brahma is anirvachaniya. Jiva is anirvachaniya, Maya is anirvachaniya, everything is anirvachaniya, no conclusions anywhere. So don't be in a hurry to conclude, be ready to examine anything and everything. Therefore, so the religion of the masses. Now, what is pujanam? What is worship? And how Gita looks at it, how Ramana looks at it. They seem to look at it in a very similar way. The language is slightly different. So, the ritualistic worship is not recommended by Ramana or by Gita even. So, the word yajna, etc. has a very special significance in Gita. So what is religion? Pujanam. Pujanam, I take it as a religion, a religious act. what is religion or what is a religious act. So you have to understand, you have to ask the question, is belief religion? I want to ask that question. Is belief religion? No, don't conclude. Just no conclusions. Just leave it like that. You see how these things operate. The Christians believe in one way, and then the Hindus in another way, the Muslims in another way. India is a very kaleidoscopic society, and so the Buddhists in still another way they believe. And very interestingly, all of them consider themselves very religious people. That fervor of religion, you see in all of them. The Christians are they believe they are very religious. Similarly, Hindus, everybody believes that they are very religious. And they all have their temples. Not that we only have a special temple. Everybody has a temple. All these religions, they have their gods, so very much like us, and their symbols and beliefs. So, are we in any way different from all that milieu? So we have to look into that. So that kind of a belief. So all that, is that religion? Belief, symbols, temples, gods, rituals. Is that religion? I mean, I'm asking the question in the context of Vedantic wisdom. In that context I'm asking, is that religion? So also, you come to believe in these things. How do you come to believe in these things? You believe in one set of, one structure of temple, god or gods, rituals and etc. Somebody else believes in a different set. Looking at ourselves, how do we come to believe in this kind of religion? What is the origin of this belief? We believe because our parents believed in it and our grandparents believed in it. Not only that, if we don't follow the belief, they will admonish us. That's why we believed in it. That is how it all started. Later it became a habit, all right. So we never examined it, that the belief. We followed the belief because the parents believed, the father believed, the grandfather believed, or sometimes some guru believed it, and so you believe it. That some gentleman whom you take as the guru believed in something, and so you believe in it. Like that, our parents believed in something else and we come to believe in something else. Because where from this something else came? It did not come from parents, you know. Now it came from some guru or some book. This is how we arrived into this thing called belief. We do not examine anything clearly. We did not arrive by examining. This is how we arrived. We never try to find out what is true. We prefer to believe. And therefore, that kind of a belief, is that the religion that we have to follow? We have to question it. Also, you have to understand, belief divides people. There itself, you are stepping out of Vedantic wisdom. Because Vedanta is inclusive, whereas belief is exclusive. You have to understand that. So, like let us take Christians, they have their beliefs and therefore they are divided from people of other religions. And within the same religion, they are divided from people of other denominations. Same Christianity. Same Hindus are no different. You see, if you come to Hindus, they are everlastingly full of enmity between sects within the Hinduism. Vaishnavas, Shaivas, Shaktiyas. And some of these people, they are contemptuous of the people of other sects. Contempt only. And some of it, it is contagious, and therefore some of it sticks to Vedantic schools also. this Vedanta school, that Vedanta school. People of this school are contemptuous of that school, vice versa, etc. They talk very low of the other schools of thought. We are superior Vedanta. They don't know any Vedanta. So the Hindus are like this, everlastingly full of enmity among themselves. Then Brahmins, non-Brahmins are this, are that. Enmity between castes, creeds, in the name of religion. That is what I am saying. Therefore, if you examine it, belief brings enmity, division, and when it becomes severe, it brings destruction. And therefore, that is not obviously the true religion. I am talking of true religion. So, there is a word called Archana. Archanam, by Archana. Archana is the name given to a girl. Archanam is the word. Lyut, Bhavel, Lyut, Archanam. So, this Archanam is the ritualistic worship. Avahanadi, Visarjanantam. You see, puja doesn't begin with dhyana. They say dhyayami, avahayami. Dhyayami you have to count out. Otherwise it becomes 17. Dhyayami is not included. Dhyayami you say. Generally they say. The priest, they go on adding this, that. It is all whims and fancies of the priest. Because the people all around are novices. They just don't know anything. And therefore the priest can add anything, he can subtract anything, it is up to him. Mostly it goes like that. And people are not willing to examine anything. Anyway, so avahanam to visarjanam, that is called archanam. And so if you go to any temple, there is a table displayed there. A table of different archanam, different worships, with the cost associated with it. It is like a menu card of a hotel. That is how they display. So this is how it goes on. And so this archanam, in the context, when you claim yourself to be a student of Gita, do you consider that as religion for you? Is that religion for you? Shri Krishna talks of abhyarchanam. He doesn't talk of archanam. He adds abhi to that. As though the archanam is not focused towards Ishvara. Now he wants some archanam which is focused towards Ishvara. Abhyarchanam. That abhi he adds. Abhi means focus. Abhimukha. So he seems to make a division, a different, bring out a difference there. So here the archanam is also in the form of action. Abhyarchanam. Archanam is an action, purely ritualistic action. Whereas abhyarchanam, Shri Krishna presents it as swadharma anushtanam. So swakarmana tam abhyarchya. Suppose you are a priest, you go to the temple and worship. That is swakarma. But everybody is not a priest. Suppose you are a teacher, then you go to the class and take the class. That is abhyarchanam. You are a physician, rush to the patients who are waiting and bring succor to them by giving medicine to them. That is abhyarchanam. Suppose you are a municipality cleaning worker, then take a broom and clean the footpath. That is abhyarchanam. So learn to worship Ishvara through, Tritiya Vibhakti means through, dvara, through performance of your duty. Swakarmana tam abhyarchya. And who is this tam? Tam Ishvara. Who is this Ishvara? Now, you see, belief, you see, one Mahatma said, belief in a form is idolatry. Love of a form is carnality. That is what he said. So, there is a thing called the spirit of religion versus form of religion. This distinction is brought out by Swami Ramatirtha in a big way, Vivekananda Swami also. And you see the roots for this vision in Gita and in Upadesha Saram, we find it. Spirit of religion versus form of religion. So this distinction is important because I am looking at this verse, and this verse together with the verse Swakarmanatam Abhyarchya Siddhim Vindati Manavaha. The both verses seem to be parallel, so I am looking at this verse and that verse from Gita, and in that context I am trying to make a distinction between the spirit of religion and the form of religion. Please pay attention to that. Spirit versus form. One, in spirit, in the spirit of religion, the focus is on God. That is the Abhyarchanam, Abhi. The focus is on God. Whereas in the form of religion, the focus is on the way of worship. That is the Mimamsaka, Karma Mimamsaka. The focus is not on the God as much. We are talking of the focus. The focus is on God. That is the spirit of religion. Whereas the focus is on the way of worship. That is the form of religion. Sri Ramakrishna made an interesting description. He said, Bhakti is also religion, in a way. So devotion, he said devotion is of two kinds, Vaidhi Bhakti, Raga Bhakti. These are his expressions, Vaidhi Bhakti, the exact words used by him, because Bengali is full of Sanskrit, Bengali is full of Sanskrit, like Telugu. More than 60% is Sanskrit. Like a Trinamool Congress party. Trinamool is a word-to-word translation of English to Bengali, which is same as Sanskrit. Grassroots Congress party. Grass is a Truna, roots is Moola. Sanskrit it is, but they think it is Bengali. So very close. So Sri Ramakrishna's words, they are as much Sanskrit as they are Bengali. So Vaidhi Bhakti, he said. Vidhi, he made a Tadhita Prachaya for Vidhi. So Vaidhi Bhakti. So the Bhakti in which the entire focus is on the form of worship. And then he said in the youth it will be like that. When I look at my youth, it was like that. It was like that. There is so much focus on the form of worship. Whereas, so Sri Ramakrishna says, as you move forward into true religion, Vaidhi Bhakti will be replaced by Raga Bhakti. Raga is love, not attachment. Love. Therefore, one important distinction between the spirit of religion versus the form of religion is, in the spirit it is Abhi, so the focus is on Ishvara, whereas in the form of religion the focus is not Ishvara, the focus is on the Vidhi, the way of worship. Then I will give some more differences between the two so that we understand the two, the religion of the masses versus the true religion, and then we can adopt whatever suits us. In the spirit of religion, the love of the heart, raga, that is the word used, is important. Whereas the form of religion clings to some formula. That is how the form of religion goes. You look at it carefully. There is a formula. And so you cling to that formula. Like once when Rama Kalyanam was happening, I was sitting there in the Vaidhi Bhakti days. And then, so Snanam, now come to Snanam. So Avahanadi, Snanam, and immediately we were students of Veda, very forceful and all that. Those days were like that, you youth. very ignorant and unsophisticated, dull, dumb youth, you know. So immediately, Namasomaya cha Rudraya cha, I started. And the person, before I went up to Namo Agre Vadhaya, he stopped me. Hey, this is Rama, this is not Shiva. Stop it. Then I said, I will not stop it. And I finished it. Then people around me encouraged me. Don't stop it, do it. So I finished it. Up to Nama Irinyaya cha, I stopped there. You have to say 3 words of the next Anuvaka and stop. You should not stop just like that abruptly. Anyway, so this is how, in the form of religion, you cling to a formula. Whereas in the spirit of religion, the formula is not important. It is the love of the heart. In the form of the religion, the focus is on the preservation of a creed. Whereas in the spirit of the religion, the focus is on the realization of the truth. Tremendous difference between the two. You can easily appreciate it when you examine it. They have to preserve the creed. That is the entire goal. You have to preserve the creed. And therefore form societies or trusts and then accumulate a lot of money and spend it all to preserve the creed. That is the form of religion. You see, the distinction is so like daylight it is. Whereas in the spirit of religion, realization of truth, you want to realize truth. You are not interested in preserving this creed or that tradition. Why should you preserve anything? Let it preserve itself. Like that. Then in the form of religion, there is a timid sense of safety in orthodox convention. That is how the form of religion goes. You find a sense of safety. Means you are so timid, so insecure. You find a sense of safety in the orthodox convention. That is how the form of religion operates. Whereas in the spirit of religion, it's an adventure into the unknown. It is like going to scale the Everest is easy. Scaling the Everest peak is easy when compared with the spiritual adventure to find the true self. It's an adventure. It is not just a timid sense of security in a convention which is orthodox in nature. Tremendous difference to true. So, in the form of religion, a gospel or some mantra or whatever, a gospel of yesteryears is fossilized. That is how the form of religion operates. Whereas in the spirit of religion, it is the living truth. Now and here, the living truth versus fossilized gospel of yesteryears. What a tremendous difference between the two. So, you see, in the form of the religion, they put a statue or an image on a pedestal. Whereas in the spirit of the religion, they enshrine God in the heart. Huge difference. So, in the form of the religion, there is some kind of a suffocation or stifling under authority of a stale order. Whereas in the spirit of the religion, there is vital freshness of alive and fresh and new experiencing of the truth, if you will. Therefore, when you say pujanam, are you looking at the form of religion or are you looking at the spirit of religion? What are you looking at? You have to examine that. So the Maharshi says, Jagataha Sevanam. You worship the world. This is a tricky thing. Tricky to explain, that is what I mean. This is a tricky job for me. It is a worship of, you cannot worship God, I tell you. You can only worship the world. When you are worshipping an image, you are worshipping the world. You are worshipping a cow, you are worshipping the world. You are worshipping the world only. But Ishadhi Yukta Sevam. The service not with the idea that it is the thing of the world, but with the idea that it is God. So that is how you worship the world. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam. Now what does it mean? You see, I tell you, do you mind I tell a story to make a distinction between the two?
Yes.
But the story you should be ready for some kind of a harsh sounding story. I am a very unassured, self-unassured guy. Let me tell this story. Having said this much, I cannot stop it now. In Rajasthan, there is a practice of marrying the girl to the sword, of the Rajput prince. The girl is first married to the sword. The sword represents the Rajput prince. The girl first marries, is married to the sword, so they send the sword, and then the marriage, some kind of a festival, some kind of a ritual is performed with the sword. The girl and the sword by the side, the sword representing the prince. So that part of the ritual is over. Then next day the prince will come and the actual, it will be solemnized further. That is the customs, all kinds of customs. Some of the customs, you may find this a sword custom unusual, but for a Rajputana prince, it is the most usual thing. Because he lives by the sword and he dies by the sword. Like if you come to the south, they bring some of these household items which they use in sambar. And half a dozen of them they make a paste and put on the head. What kind of custom it is? So these customs are like that. Okay? So this young lady, the princess, is married to the sword. Next day the marriage will be solemnized in the usual way. But in the meanwhile, a war came, a battle or war came, and the prince rushed to the battle. He cannot sit at home when the battle is there. Rajput, he rushed to he took another sword and he rushed to the battlefield. Anyway, he was busy with the battles and then some armistice, then again battle, this, that. He was delayed by 6 months. He was away for 6 months. Then after 6 months he came back. He wanted to play a trick. So he came to the town where the princess lives. And he did not declare himself who he is. And then he came there as a young man and somehow managed to meet her in a club or some such meeting place, and then cultivated some friendship. And then he said, I love you, to her. She said she did not object to it. She is already married to a man, That's why I told you this story. She did not object to it. Then it seemed as if she approved his offer of love, something like that. Then he took out the sword and offered to her. I am the one whom you married 6 months back. Did you understand the story? Huh? So she was responding to her husband only, but did not know that he was her husband. Suppose she was responding to her husband's vow of love, knowing that he is her husband, she will be considered the most loving wife. But she responded exactly the same way to the love proposed by the other person, not knowing that he is her own husband. Therefore, she has committed a crime. Therefore, "the" makes all the difference. Okay? Therefore, you can never worship God. How can you worship God? You have to worship something in the name of God. Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam. Okay? Now, this is not the form of religion which we are talking here. Here the spirit of religion. Therefore here the entire Jagat is a form of God. Entire Jagat. Now you do not look at Jagat as God. You do not look at Jagat as the multifarious world consisting of pairs of opposites all the way. That is how we look at the Jagat. For us the Jagat consists of living and non-living. Among the living, desired and not desired, favorable and not favorable, beautiful and ugly. That is how we divide the living, non-living and the living. We divide as humans and non-humans, animals, and among animals domesticated and wild. Like that everywhere you will be dividing and dividing and dividing into the opposites. All the way it is a division into opposites. And if you are looking at the world that way, then you are committing the crime of that princess. You got the point? Whereas you rise above all these divisions and look at the world as a form of God. Means when you see the world, you see God. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevana. In the religion practiced by the masses, when they see the world only. They don't see the God. To see the God, they have to die and go to another loka, and there they will see the God. Whereas in the spirit of religion, that is the form of religion, that is the populist religion, not Vedantic religion. You see, are you a student of Vedanta? You should not say yes. You should think. And you can ask me, what if Swamiji? Like that you should ask me. And I say, are you a student of Vedanta? You should ask me, Swamiji, what if? You followed? Then I will ask, if you are a student of Vedanta, then for you, there is no God other than the world which is a form of God. When you look out, and when you look within, there is no God other than the innermost self. That is the student of Vedanta. Now you tell me, are you a student of Vedanta? Don't answer. Therefore, you see, in the context of Vedantic religion, there is a thing called Vedantic religion. I am not suggesting a Vedantin should not follow a religion or need not follow religion. I am not suggesting that. You should follow a religion. But that religion may not be, you may not want that religion to be the religion of the masses. You want that religion to be the Vedantic religion. So to understand the distinction between the religion of the masses versus the Vedantic religion, to make that distinction I have described the form of religion versus the spirit of religion. The spirit of religion defines Vedantic religion, whether the form of religion is the religion followed by the masses, maybe crude or maybe sophisticated still. Therefore, the point that I want to make is, again, when you see the world, you see God. Other than, apart from seeing the world, there is no seeing of God. Means you die and go to some loka and you want to see the God there. No, there is no such thing. You want to see God beyond the world, apart from the world you want to see God, then that God beyond the world is yourself. Tattvavidananda. Therefore, I say there is no seeing God apart from the world. Apart from the world, there is only being yourself the God. You followed that, or is it a bit confusing? Therefore, when you look within, the innermost self is the God, and you be that God. When you look without, the Jagat is a form of God, and you worship that form. So, this is how Therefore, now what happened, the implications are very far reaching if you are prepared. If you are prepared for the implications are very far reaching. Now we are not looking at the form of religion where a particular gospel is fossilized in the name of tradition. We are not doing that. The implications are mind-boggling. Swami Ramatirtha said, Vedanta is a religion in which God is found in the streets. That is the religion. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Seva. God is found in the streets. Daridra Narayanaha, that is what Swami Vivekananda said. A poor man, a beggar comes to you to bless you, to give you an opportunity to worship God. Therefore, you are blessed that a beggar came to you. He is Narayana. Therefore, in Vedantic religion, God is found in the streets. And God is murmured by the brooks. If you go near Ganga, Ganga is murmuring God. Shiva, Shiva, Shiva. It is murmuring. That is Vedantic religion. And God is worshipped in the winds. Not worshipped, whispered in the winds. God is whispered in the winds. And God is throbbing in your veins and arteries. That is the God that you worship in Vedantic religion. When I saw this statement from Swami Ramatirtha, I was immediately reminded of a very similar statement by Shakespeare in that most beautiful play, As You Like It. There Shakespeare says, and this our life exempt from public haunt. Means you live in solitude. In a forest, you live in solitude. That is the context. And so he says, and this our life exempt from public haunt, means public is not chasing us. This life finds tongues in trees. Tongues in trees means the trees start giving Vedanta class. Tongues in trees. Books in the running brooks. So you have one Upanishad in the running Ganga. All Upanishads are in the running Ganga. Sermons in stones. All those stones, when you are walking, you find the stones of different shapes. There are the sermons. And he said, Shakespeare said, good in everything. You can say God in everything. So this is, I am approaching, this is not an easy subject to present to an audience, to an august audience like yours. Here I have to address the form of religion versus the spirit of religion. That is, without addressing that issue, there is no way to explain the expression Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Seva. I have to address that, and also bring in the spirit of Vedantic religion into the class, so that people examine their religious practices. So therefore, Ishadhi Yukta, Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevana. So you have to worship Jagat only, because Jagat is nothing other than a form of Ishvara. But with that understanding, you have to worship, that you have to serve. Seva is serve, not so much worship, because the word worship brings some ritual into the mind. So serve and serve. Shivananda Maharaj used to say, love and serve, meditate and realize. That is his vision. I am a funny guy. I am deeply impressed by that. Love and serve. That is the religion. meditate and worship. That is the Jnana Yoga. Meditate and realize. Meditate and realize. He captured in very simple words. Amazing. So, therefore, you see, what is God? What is God? The light by which you ask the question is the God. There must be a light in you which make you ask that question, what is God? Without that light you could not have asked that question. The animals don't ask that question. There is some special light in you which makes you ask that question, that light of awareness. And that light, if that light is not God, then what else is the God? And the world which shines in that light is no different from that light. Therefore that light within is Atma, and the light without is Ishvara. The same light. And therefore, so when you look within, the I am itself is the God. The I am is the seed and God is the tree. I am itself, aham ahamiti, sakshat atma rupena bhati. Who bhati? Brahma. Kevalam Brahma matram bhati. It is shining within you as aham, that's spurana, aham spurana. Then I tell you one more thing to think. What is this Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam? You see, you want to put God into a place, space, a time, and a form, and worship. That is a movement of the mind, because he wants to worship. Therefore he has to fix the place and the time and form. Then only he can have a thing called worship. But I tell you, there is another form of worship. In Vedanta, that is not the worship which we are talking about. Where the worship is fixed to a place as space, time and vastu. That is not the worship that we are talking about. Here we are talking about the worship which is in the form of seeking the truth. Truth, another name for truth is God. Therefore you seek truth means that you seek God. That seeking is the worship. That is the Vedantic theology. Therefore, so Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam. Then you may ask how to cultivate this Ishadhi. Jagataha Ishadhi you have to cultivate. How to cultivate? And the Maharshi provides the answer. Ashtamurti Bhrudeva Pujanam. Deva is the light which I was talking about. Deva, the word Deva, what happened is in our religion, in Hindu religion, the way it is practiced by the masses, who are the masses? Sometimes I wonder, who are the masses? The masses are outside this classroom, I wonder. So, therefore, so you see, there is a light by which the universe comes to light. And this is what I was saying. You hear the word Deva. Immediately in Telugu we add du. Deva means Devudu, means he is a male. This is called extravagant humanism. In the social philosophy of religion, there is a principle called extravagant humanism, in which the God is either male or female, and we are married here, therefore the gods and goddesses they get married, and we have children, and so gods and goddesses also have children, and we have sibling issues, therefore gods and goddesses also have sibling issues, and we celebrate our birthdays, and so gods also celebrate their birthdays. We celebrate their birthdays on their behalf. We get married and so they get married. We celebrate the birthdays of our children and siblings, so we celebrate the birthdays of their children and their siblings also. This is what is called extravagant humanism. You have to come out of that conditioning, I suppose, in the context of Vedanta. The word Deva immediately should not bring a male god to your mind. That is not the way. And if you say Devata, a female god, Deva is a male god. Daivam, what will you do now? What will you do now? Therefore, the word Deva should bring that light of awareness. That is the Deva. God is called Deva because God is Chinmaya. Namruchila Maya Devaha. Something like that in Bhagavatam. So, Chinmaya. Deva is Chinmaya. You see, I suggest something to you. From today onwards, you tell yourself, you remind yourself as often as you need to that you are Chinmaya. Chinmayoham. You have to remind yourself. Otherwise, by default, you identify with the body. This default is a funny word. Because in Oxford dictionary it gives one meaning and in computer language it is used in another sense. Very funny word it is. So by default you are your body. Therefore you have to remind yourself, I am Aham Chinmayaha, Aham Chinmayoham, Chinmayoham. Today meditation is also that only. Chinmayoham. You are Chinmaya and the Devata or God is Chinmaya. And that Chaitanyam is appearing before you in 8 forms. You see, I tell you, Mahatmas look at the world as a vivarta of the Chaitanya, as a vivarta is apparition, so but the word doesn't sound so well. As something, they look at the world as something which is shining in that awareness, in that light of awareness. That is how they look at the world. Therefore, Deva, the light of awareness, that light, that Chit, Satchidanandam Brahma, is present before you in 8 forms. That is the Jagat. So Jagat is reduced to 8 principles. That is the Jagat. These 8 are the Jagat. No 9, not less, not more. This is the Jagat. And that is the Jagat what Ashtamurti Bhrideva Pujana. Now, what are these 8 Murtis? Kalidasa, the great poet of India. So when I quote Shakespeare, I quote Kalidasa also. Because there are no boundaries for these things. So Kalidasa put these Ashtamurtis in a form of puzzles. He did not name them. He put everything as a puzzle. He started Ya Srishti Srashturadya. You have to answer the questions. What is it which was the first creation of God? First creation of the Creator. What is it? Apaha. Apova idamagre salilamasit, something like that. So Ya Srishti